Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dumbing Down Data. We are here in the AI for 2023 conference, which is super exciting. And today we have Frederick with us, who's going to be talking a little bit about his experience. And we're going to just start off with, what do you do, Frederick? Why are you here?
Sure. So I'm the CEO of a national legal recruiting and consulting firm. One of the things we do is AI consulting for attorneys. And I also write about AI in the Shelton Shares column for Attorney at Law magazine.
He has actually a very interesting story. We were talking a little bit before this filming. So I wanted to ask you, how did you get to where you are? I mean, if you can expand a little bit more about what you're doing, it was really interesting to hear about it. So
Sure.
Share how you got there too. I think that was a really good story for our listeners.
Okay. So I don't have a law degree or any degree or a high school diploma. I started out as a homeless teenager and had to kind of make my own way. I had to teach myself. Back in the olden days when I took my horse and buggy to work, you read a lot and you had what they called books on tape. Now I'm learning from Audible and what I call the University of YouTube, and podcasts and things like that. But I have been self-educating myself since I was a teen. Yeah.
I think that's one of the key things about this podcast even is just hearing stories about how education is everywhere. So he was talking a little bit about the University of YouTube, which I thought was really fun because there's just so much information out there that you can learn to get to where you are and build a full business even without a college degree and more. It's just, I thought that was a really fascinating thing. Share a little bit about maybe a fun fact about your job and how you involve technology into it.
Sure. So I currently work maybe 25 to 30 hours a week. I have a company that pretty much runs itself. So my recruiters are very, very strong at what they do. Our business and rainmaking consultants have an excellent brand. I've been featured in Forbes, Success, Bloomberg, Reader's Digest, TV, radio, whatever. So we get a lot of incoming traffic and client requests from our brand because I'm not very good at a whole lot of things. But in one tiny little sliver of the universe, I'm an authority. And I've worked hard to, like I said, constantly stay up to date with every trend, which is why I'm here at AI4. Because if there is one profession that is going to be massively disrupted by generative AI, it's the legal profession. I've been writing about AI as it applies to the legal profession since 2019. I really thought it was going to hit around 2020, but instead of AI, we got COVID, which wasn't as cool, But here we are a few years later and a year outside of COVID where a whole lot of things are beginning to happen very, very rapidly nowadays. And one of my employees brought chat to my attention last December, and I realized this was going to be the biggest technological breakthrough of my lifetime. So I wrote an article specifically about ChatGPT in January. And the article is entitled A General Counsel's View of ChatGPT and AI. And the article said, look, here is how AI is going to disrupt the legal profession in all these different ways and all this stuff. And then at the end of the article, it said, by the way, I'm not actually a general counsel, and I didn't even write this article. I had chat write the article for me. And so it was like a big aha moment, at the end of the article. And a lot of people really were impacted. They were like, wait, hold it. What did you just say? Now, the main reason I wrote the article was because I wanted my name and ChatGPT combined on SEO for Google and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought, if I get in there very, very early and have my brand associated with what I believe is going to be one of the biggest things to hit business in forever, that wouldn't be a bad thing. So if you can think predictably, if you're constantly thinking proactively instead of reacting, I published at least one article and sometimes two articles a month, every month since last January, and have now established an AI consulting division at our firm. I already have clients who want to hire us, but we're still working out the price point. We're going to charge quite a bit more than our original price point. So,
Was there, I'm just curious, but was there one thing you learned when you first started building this? Now you have, your empire, I like to call it. When you build something big, I like to call it like my empire is my dumbing down data thing. But was there one specific thing that you learned or one specific action, and maybe there isn't, but maybe one specific action that you did that ignited how you got started and really kind of pushed that boulder down the hill, so to speak?
I think it was, as we discussed earlier, I've told my daughter many, many times, like, I failed at more things than I could possibly count, but you only have to be right once. So go out there and fail. Go out there and do things that you are not qualified to do. Go out there and go to conferences and hold podcasts or interview people or whatever it is. And
It's fun though.
yeah, there you go. But very few people start out in a career and 30 years later end up in that same career. Occasionally, lawyers, doctors, sometimes they stay in the same profession their whole lives, and oftentimes, I know personally, a lot of them are miserable because their parents push them into, you got to be a doctor, the whole family's a doctor, kind of thing, and they hate it, or they hate being a lawyer, or they hate being an accountant, or whatever it is. Well, most people, they'll start out in one career, and then they'll end up in another one, and you can't be afraid of that. If you really want to be successful, you need to go find what you really love doing. And then once you find what you love doing, you have to plan to quit and start your own company. Because no one ever got rich cashing someone else's paychecks.
There's a lot of good stuff there. And my last question, you touched on a ton of it, but for our listeners, mainly people who are interested in breaking into tech or interested in being more educated about it to get ahead in their jobs, things like that. Do you have, other than all of the amazing things you've already said, do you have any specific advice to give people of like, how do you get started? How do you break into this industry? If you feel like, coming from you, who was a homeless teenager, if you feel like you don't have a background there, how do you get there?
Right. I forgot if it was Richard Branson or Elon Musk, but one of the biggies said, look, universities have become irrelevant because you can learn everything and anything you want to learn on Coursera, on YouTube, on whatever it is. And I will tell you that if, for example, I love gaming, okay?
Interesting.
Yes, so I have...
And gambling.
Well,
poker.
Well, it's not gambling if you're good. Yeah. But I have an old PS2 that I play Madden 2008 on, and then I have an Oculus that I play all the latest and greatest games on. And I'll play video games probably a half an hour to an hour, a few times a week, whatever it is, if I need to, unwind and just get away from it all. But I will study 10 hours a week. If you're not studying AI and the metaverse and crypto or blockchain, more accurately, and business trends. When people talk about AI, 90% of the people think, oh, ChatGPT. And that's just not even the tip of the iceberg. When people talk about Meta, they think, oh, Facebook's failed endeavor. Well, no. Rolex and Gucci and Mercedes are all in different metaverses like Decentraland and that kind of thing. There are thousands of them out there. It's not going away. When people think about blockchain or crypto, what one coin do they think of? You tell me. Bitcoin. Okay. They're not thinking about cybersecurity and the thousands of other applications, especially when it comes to AI, that blockchain is going to impact. So while I don't have a technical background at all, I get Ben's Bytes and TLDR, and one of the sayings I tell my employees and my daughter is, you're only as smart as your Google alerts. So I have like 60 alerts in my Google alerts, everything from artificial intelligence to my name to whatever, and I'm reading and listening to Audible and on YouTube and stuff all the time, every week. And if you really want to break into something or become an entrepreneur or whatever, you have to learn how. And now you can, and you can do it for free.
I love that. It's like that learning mindset, the always learning mindset. It's how you get anywhere. It's so true. Well, Frederick, that was all so great. I hope our listeners got a lot out of it. I'm sure they did. I did. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
And
I look forward to seeing this and
yeah,
sending it out on social media.
Absolutely. Well, don't forget to subscribe. And thank you all. We'll be back for more. Take care.